While this classic is loading, let me tell you about Blue Chew, who is sponsoring this episode. Guys, what a year! In some ways, the last 12 months has felt like 12 years, am I right? And I know some of you are feeling your age more than you used to. Well, guess what? You're older than you were before, so that makes sense. Sure, you could argue that time doesn't exist, but try telling that to your partner in the bedroom. Snap out of it, man. Spring is here, and it's time to get sprung with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED. That's erectile dysfunction. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy, and it ships right to your door in a discreet package. Process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Did I mention that it's all done online? Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredients and strength for your prescription. So, if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code NODUNKS at checkout and just pay $5 in shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code NODUNKS to receive your first month free. And of course, we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
I dunked you one time. You need to be dunked 3 times. You need 2 more dunks.
You're joking, right? No more dunking. I don't want any more dunking.
Get back in there, a couple of dunks, you're done.
No more dunks for me.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Monday, May 31st. Happy Memorial Day to everyone in the U.S. Hope you're all staying safe, having a hot dog, drinking a brewski, and you'll take a second at some point today to remember the brave men and women who did sacrifice their lives for this country and our freedom here. I am J.E. Skeets, rolling with the homie, Tass Mellis.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Tass, we got my Top Shot hot boy, fellow freak, ripping them lips this weekend, Trey Kirby.
Hey.
Oh, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Leigh Ellis.
Friends.
And last but not least, making the magic happen, it's JD.
Hello.
There he is, and here we are. Shout out to the stream team for joining us live on YouTube here on this Monday morning. Smash that like button. Everybody take a second. Just go over, smash it. Leave your comments below this video and subscribe. We are inching oh so close to 40,000 subs. So thank you to everybody that's already done that and subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure you share it with a friend. Send in your questions and comments for the next Beach Steppin' podcast. Email them in, nodunks@theathletic.com. Tweet them in at NoDunksInc. That's INC on Twitter. And finally, go grab your No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. T-shirts, hoodies, shorts, coffee mugs. We got it all over there. So nodunks.com for your No Dunks merch. Okay, boys, how's everybody doing? How was the weekend? Trey, you were out on a lake of some sort. You caught something, right?
Yeah, I just caught one little bass yesterday, Skeets. But as soon as we're done recording a classic here, gonna go rip some more out of that pond, baby. Hopefully a 5-pounder.
All right. Well, good luck. You may not be out on that lake for a couple hours because we got a lot to talk about here. We got a lot of games.
That's right.
Every series to touch on. So let's get into it. We'll start in the Eastern Conference and we'll make our way to the West. That's how we'll break it up here. But we had 2 games between the Hawks and the Knicks. And I'll just lump them together, Task, because Friday and then Sunday, Trae Young really leading the Hawks to the 105-94 victory. And then on Sunday, the 113-96 win over the Knicks. And Atlanta takes the very impressive here 3-1 series lead. What's the big takeaway, Tass?
Well, it's becoming a bit of a disappointing series. We're all sort of looking forward to it, but it's very clear that the Knicks just can't score enough to stay with these talented Atlanta Hawks, right? It wasn't like the Atlanta Hawks had an incredible shooting night on Sunday to take a commanding 3-1 series lead, but they pulled away in the third quarter because they had a 30-point quarter, the only 30-point quarter of the game from either side, and the Knicks, they can't handle that. They can't keep up with that. And it's all about Julius Randle obviously not playing like his all-star self. You look at the starting lineup that they're rolling out there, Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, RJ Barrett, Reggie Bullock, and Taj Gibson. Rose and Barrett did what they're supposed to do, 18 and 21 respectively. Reggie Bullock and Taj Gibson combined for 6 points. Yeah, it's not crazy that you get 6 points. I know it's not good, but that's not the crazy part. The crazy part is that Julius Randle doesn't look like that all-star self. And I don't buy that it's the defense forcing him this way or that way, because he's a one-on-one guy, and he just maybe this is too much to handle here in his first postseason. Maybe he just hasn't handled it well. Maybe if he started on the road, it would have been different without the pressures of home court. I just know that this Hawks team is not afraid of this Knicks team. And if the Knicks can't score, the Hawks are going to find a way. I thought the Hawks at the beginning of the season maybe had too many good players, but they're utilizing them perfectly now, especially with Chris Dunn not being part of the rotation and an injury to Cam Reddish. And then you got Danilo Gallinari. Speaking of their depth, $20 million man having his first really good game in the playoffs, 21 points off the bench. And that's too much for the Knicks to handle. And I also wonder about Tom Thibodeau. We're not really questioning his defense on Trae Young because they're not really making him work extremely hard.
Not at all.
I mean, they are pushing him out. You see those deep threes he's taking. Like, they are running a second guy. They just don't really have a guy to make him work. I mean, that was a worry coming into this playoffs because their best defensive players aren't necessarily their guards. You know, Derrick Rose is starting now. It's not ideal for them. You don't see an Alex Caruso taking out Devin Booker like you see in that Suns-Lakers series that we'll get to a little bit later. They just don't really have the personnel. They're not really hounding him a lot. But we'll see him in the next series when he faces Ben Simmons, most likely. It'll most likely be Hawks Sixers. We'll get to that a little later. But the Hawks are they're too much to handle for this team that can't score, and they've got a pretty good environment there in State Farm Arena. Am I right, Leigh? You were down there for Game 3. I mean, that was home court advantage.
It was absolutely bumping down there. I have to say, it was an incredible atmosphere down there. You know, We've lived in Atlanta here for like 8 years, and we've been to a ton of games. And oftentimes, even in the playoffs, it doesn't have all that much electricity down there. It's not even sold out a lot of times. But Friday night, it felt like everyone was in their seat 10 minutes before the game even tipped off, which is just something that's never happened here in Atlanta.
Well, that's because the game didn't tip off.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's it.
7-16, yeah.
Bullseye.
But in terms of the fan sort of participation and interest and energy, it really did help, I think, because that first quarter was a bit of a slog, and the Knicks actually led at the end of that first quarter. But in the second quarter, when things got going, you could just feel, especially the younger guys, Trae Young and John Collins really feeding off that energy, and it was great. And I have to say, I think, the Trae Young stuff, what I noticed, and you always notice things a little bit differently when you're in person versus watching it on TV. What he's really, really good at, it's a Steve Nash-like quality, is keeping his dribble alive. And because I think the Knicks did try to throw extra sort of bodies at him, and he sort of saw that coming. He was almost expecting it, and he was waiting, really patient with his offense, and he'd move the ball around. And the big difference between Game 3 and Game 2 was guys like Gallinari and Bogdanovic hitting those threes. And when Trae has that shooting around him, it just makes their offense so much better. And Trae is, again, he takes those shots when they're there for him. He goes inside. He's got that little floater, but he passes with confidence, knowing those guys can knock them down. And then I thought a really big improvement as well for the Hawks on the defensive end is their defensive rebounding presence, especially, again, someone like Bogdanovic, who we don't necessarily think of as a great defender or rebounder. He had 8 rebounds on Friday night, and I just watched him, and I noticed that he had the job on Derrick Rose. A lot of times when the shot went up, he waited there to make sure they secured the rebound. So those sorts of little attention to detail things, I think, on the defensive end have really helped the Hawks, because outside of Derrick Rose, the Knicks absolutely haven't had anyone. Julius has struggled, and then guys like Barrett, you expect him to sort of be a catch and shoot guy. He hasn't really been able to create for himself. So all these things, I think, are factoring into it. And Julius Randle, what he's been doing as well is gets caught in the air a little bit too much. He sort of goes into the lane, he jumps, and then he's not quite sure where to pass it, and the Hawks are ready for it. So I was very, very impressed with Atlanta's 2 games over this weekend. I thought they played fantastic at both ends of the floor. And I mean, the Knicks could drag this out to 6 games, but certainly the Hawks should feel that they can close it out from here, even though, of course, the Knicks could potentially still have 2 games at home.
Yeah, the Knicks may not have like a defensive answer for trying to figure out Trae Young and slow him down. I mean, he's an unbelievable offensive talent. But what about the other side, TK? Do you think they're like letting Trae Young just hang out on Reggie Bullock and not really put him in any action on that end of the floor? And I'm with you, Tass. It really feels like times, especially with Randall struggling. It's like it's like Derrick Rose versus the Hawks. It feels like when you watch some of these games, like he is the only
11
one.
Bulls all over again.
I mean, right?
Derrick Rose show. Only now we're 10 years deeper into his career. That's a big ask. Like Derrick Rose has had an impressive season as a sixth man, and he helped keep the Knicks competitive for the entirety of the second half of the season. But asking him to go out there and be his MVP self again, that's a tough ask for Derrick Rose. And yeah, you're right, Skeets. I think that Tibbs could put Trae Young into some more pick and rolls, get him involved in some more actions, just make him work a little bit harder on the defensive end to hopefully take his legs out on the offensive end, because the Hawks were so good this weekend that I don't even think Leigh got to wear his Knicks jersey down there at the Fortress. They smacked him every single game, 3 and 4 here. And it really looks like the Hawks are out-Knicksing the Knicks. They're playing tougher. They're playing more physical. Like Leigh said, they won the rebounding battle. They've just been more into these games basically for the entirety of the series. And maybe a lot of that is Julius Randle's struggles. You know, for the whole season, the thing was saying, there's no way this guy's going to be able to make these shots for the entire year. There's no way he's going to be able to make these plays for the entire year, but he did it for the whole regular season. That was very impressive. He won most improved player, but now he's regressing to the mean a little bit. Struggling to get these jump shots down, playing a little bit tougher, getting fewer calls. And yeah, John Collins called him out last week, Skeets, but took a shot to the lip, got some stitches, came back. He hasn't had a huge game yet, but he's been tough out there. He's taken some bumps from Randle, and what he's done has been impressive to kind of just fit in and do exactly what the Hawks need to get these wins.
Yeah. So what do you think happens moving forward in this series, Tass? You know, I think we're agreeing that the Hawks appear to be just the more talented team, definitely offensively in terms of just scoring the ball. And we thought that coming in, but can the Knicks like bring this back to Atlanta? Can Leigh have one more chance to maybe wear a Knicks jersey down at the Fortress underneath a Hawks jersey? What do you think?
I hope so. I hope we get a game 6, because the way Leigh hypes up this crowd, I want to go see it in person too. Friday night, I want to see it. You know, sometimes you see the videos, and sometimes, you know, they do a really good job of grabbing the super fans, grabbing the Hawks bros, grabbing Larry, Luke, and the boys, and it's loud, no doubt. There was bumping, you know, when Sir Foster's got the beats playing, the crowd's going, and the lighting looks amazing, but. You know, actually just watching it, and whenever they grabbed the footage or sort of the shots of the fans, I was pumped to see it, but I do want to see it in person. So I do want to see them drag it out to 6 games. But yeah, I don't think all of a sudden the faucet's just going to turn on for Julius Randle. It just doesn't seem like that's happening. And that's the key. That really is the key. I don't think you can expect anything offensively from Reggie Bullock and Taj Gibson other than, you know, the random 3 from Bullock, but it's not going to happen from Taj Gibson. He's playing well.
Well, yeah, but he
this not an offensive weapon.
He defensively though. I mean, the Hawks a couple of times again, like they ran that play where basically Trae Young's at the high post there. He bounces the ball into Collins, and then they just throw it to Capella, and he just dunks it easy enough, because Taj Gibson's a solid vet, but athletically and he's just not quick enough to keep up with those guys, and that's there all day long. For the Hawks. And also John Collins, I think as well, they just got him some shots early. They tried to get his confidence going early in game 3, and you could see he stayed a little bit out of foul trouble and he was ready to go. I can also confirm 100% Sir Foster is absolutely jacked.
Oh, nice.
I saw him a couple of times. I was like, oh, I've got to get a photo, but he was just a little, I was up in the upper lower bowl area, and he was down on the court, and I was like, I can't get a good shot of him, but my God, he was. He spent his quarantine, I think, in the gym. I can tell you that much. He's looking enormous.
This guy looks good having sex. Am I right?
Oh my God, he does. He does.
So, hey, Leigh, did you went standing room only? Is that what you did with your ticket on Friday night? And you didn't go Sunday. You were talking about maybe.
I was going to go Sunday, but it was the 1 o'clock tip off. I wanted to take the boys, but I also wanted to go standing room. Standing room is not great for kids, I'll say that. But for a single adult, it's great. The only problem is I got a great spot. I couldn't go and buy a beer. I couldn't go to the toilet because I knew there was a few vultures behind me. They were waiting. They were waiting for me to move. So I had to stand firm.
You didn't even get your pizza that takes 80 minutes to make?
I chose not to get the pizza, the flatbread this time.
Wow. Seats over snacks.
I have to say standing room is a great way to watch the game, because you just sort of maneuver to get a good position, and when you get it, you do not want to move from that. So
you're the new box out kid, are you?
Yeah, exactly. Because you know, that's the thing. There there was a couple next to me, and I thought maybe I can just say, then can you guys just spread out a little bit? But it's like, I don't know. I just know I could just feel the presence behind me. People are like, that guy's got a good spot. I'm going to snatch it if he goes.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you. You got some nice grams up.
Oh my God. It was, and I tweeted this and I put it on my Instagram as well. Like, it just felt amazing to be back at a live game, a playoff game. It really did. Like the atmosphere, the vibes, the fact that the home team won as well. And I mean, I was riding up and down with a few of those baskets in the third quarter. And even in the fourth quarter, the Knicks had a chance. I think it was Rose missed one. I think Barrett missed one that could have made it a single digits game. Yeah. Nervous little moment there. They missed them, and then the Hawks sort of stretched it out. But man, I was up and down. I was up and down with the Hawks. It was, I was way more sort of like physically emotional about this game than I thought I was going to be. It was just.
You mean up and down? You were standing, and then you would do a squat. And then
I would. I was
like, do a squat. Wow.
Wow. And then I was down. Oh my God! Come on.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, it was great, and that's the thing. I wanted to go back yesterday, but I was like, I'll wait. There'll be more playoff games down here in the Fortress, so we'll be back.
What do you think, Trae, with Game 5, like earlier in the week? Do you think the Hawks can win this on the road and close out this series, or do the Knicks have a little fight left in them there and bring this back to Atlanta? What do you think?
I hope the Knicks have a little fight in them to bring this back to Atlanta. The Garden has been rocking. They're going to be ready for Trae Young to come back after the way games 1 and 2 went down, after the way games 3 and 4 went down. Obviously, it's a must-win game for the Knicks. I would imagine we're coming back here for Game 6, but it's all going to come down to if the Knicks can actually make shots, because they just haven't been good enough offensively yet. Put Trae Young in some more pick and rolls, make him work really hard. Let's see him have a bad game in the Garden and then have Garden fans get all over him. That would be exciting for the Knicks fans, and that's exactly what they're going to need to pull off a win in Game 5.
Yeah, we will see. Friday night would be Game 6. Maybe we'll all buy some standing room only tickets if it happens. But the Hawks are playing loose right now. That's the beauty. They got a lot of confidence. Everybody's contributing, like you said there, Tass. So I don't know. I mean, you could see them, of course, closing this out in Madison Square Garden. They're the better team. I thought this thing was going 7 from the jump. I said it for weeks, and the Hawks have like dominated them for the most part, especially here in Atlanta. They have. So we'll see what happens early this week. It should be a fun game. Madison Square Garden will obviously give it their all to try and get it back here in Atlanta. But it has been. I guess it's just been a disappointing in the series that we thought maybe we'd have some closer games. Look, we had a lot of blowouts this weekend. There were not a ton of close games, or final couple minutes here. This is going to be tight. Like, in fact, did we have any games that were like that? I'm drawing a blank right now. There were very, very few. So hopefully we get some
Grizzlies we'll get to a little
later.
Okay,
that one got down to the wire. You're right. Okay. Well,
and Leigh, I actually did a little research here. A fan sent in a picture of you when you were up and down during that Hawks game. That's the down. You still look up, though. You still look pretty happy to be down there.
Oh, man. What a great day. What a great night it was. So glad I went. It's just worth it.
They sold a lot more standing room tickets from games 3 to games 4. I guess you were really spreading out your arms there, and they realized, we can fit a couple more people in here. I think they sold another 700 seats approximately.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, I will say, because your seat says standing room, none of the ushers know actually where that standing room area technically, because I sort of just assumed it was there, but I thought I better just check. And they're like, "Where is standing room?" And they're like, well, that's a great question.
Never had this problem in Atlanta before.
No.
I asked our buddy Jared, who was there on Friday night, I was like, be honest with me, how many Knicks fans were there? Because we were thinking, will it be 50-50, 60-40, whatever. And he said easily it was like, and Leigh, you can confirm this or not, like he said 80% Hawks fans going nuts and maybe 20% Knicks fans. And it just helped that the Hawks had a great game, took control of the game, and then they sort of quieted the 20% of New York fans. Is that fair, would you say?
Well, I guess it depends where you were as well. Where I was, there actually felt like there were a lot more Knicks fans. It was closer to that percentage than I thought it was going to be. I definitely think the Hawks outnumbered them. And even Cassidy Hubbarth, who was there for ABC ESPN, said yesterday there was way more Knicks fans in attendance. So she had a probably a better view of the crowd, better feeling. But where I was, there were just a ton of Knicks fans. So it I think also helped that atmosphere, because they were going up and down on free throw points. They were like, yes, like this. So I think that maybe contributed to the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, we've said that before. It actually makes for a fun game when you have like the opposition in the crowd, or a good chunk of people in the crowd, and they're going back and forth. Oh, that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I loved seeing your grams. Had a bit of FOMO. Instead, I ordered Popeye's chicken and watched the game. It was fine. It was great. But I was a little jealous when I saw your grams. I was like, oh, I got to get out to a game. Can't wait. Maybe this Friday. We'll see. Let's keep it going. Man, we're running long here on that one game. Let's go to Sunday. Again, 2 games played between these 2 teams, the Nets and the Celtics. But on Sunday especially, the Nets' big 3, they just quieted the Boston crowd. 141-126, and they take the 3-1 series lead. There's some extracurricular things to talk about with this one as well, Leigh, but I don't know where you want to start with the Nets going up 3-1.
Yeah, unfortunately, we will get to that later on, another stupid fan incident. But the Celtics on Friday night scored 125 points and won, and yesterday 126 and they lost, and that's just the way it goes against the Nets. You get a chance to score. Jason Tatum put up a 50 banger on Friday night and extended the series. I'm sort of surprised we're even still talking about this series because I think most of us thought it was going to be a sweep, especially yesterday. Well, yesterday they lost that game, but no Kemba Walker, no Robert Williams, which made the job even harder. But really for the Nets, it was like, all right, we weren't expecting to lose that game 3. So yesterday, game 4, they went out and it was Durant and it was Kyrie and James Harden. And look, the Nets went 29 for 30 from the free throw line yesterday. James Harden missed the last free throw. They were 29 for 29 at the free throw line. So practice your free throws, kids. But ultimately, I think the Nets were kind of like expecting as well on Friday, like we're gonna win this game. And the Celtics took it, and now they go back to Brooklyn and have to close it out. They will do that because Brooklyn are simply even more shorthanded than they were at the start of the series. Good fight from Boston. I like the fact that they've sort of been able to at least make it kind of interesting. It wasn't really that interesting yesterday, but for the Nets, they're just now looking forward, I think, to their series against the Milwaukee Bucks, who are going to have plenty of time to rest and get ready. Not much to take out of it other than just a team with superstars. Really did dominate yesterday. They just don't play as much defense as they had to play on Friday night. And it's pretty ominous when you just see those guys. They can all score and they can all shoot. Like we've seen from them all season. And I don't think there's any real chemistry issues. I think just Friday night, they just kind of were a bit complacent. That's all it was.
Yeah. Well, they got up 19-4 in that game on Friday night too. It was like, oh, okay, well, this might be a wrap. But you're right. Credit to the Celtics for showing a little fight. And Tatum was awesome in that game. He was the best player in game 3, but in game 4, the Nets had 3 or 4 or 5 of the best players in that game, at least 3 of them. I mean, I was tweeting at StatMuse and StatHeads and ESPN Stats and Info last night watching the Nets. I'm like, have we ever had 3 guys score 30-plus points in the same playoff game? I know that's happened in the regular season. I think your Bulls once did it, Trae. You had a weird Zach LaVine, Otto Porter Jr., and Lauri Markkanen all scored 30 in some crazy overtime game in the regular season once.
I was going to say not in the playoffs.
No,
guys.
Never happened in the playoffs, though, is what people were writing back to me. Because it looked like it was going to happen at the half. I mean, if it was just like, well, if Harden wants to turn it on and go for 30, they'll get there. But he came up short. But anyway, what's your takeaway, Trae, from this one?
What kind of takeaways can you have? I mean, a great game in game 3. That was the exciting thing, was that Jason Tatum gave us a Jason Tatum game in the playoffs. He went for the trifecta, had a 50-point game in the regular season, a 50-point game in the play-in tournament, and a 50-point game in the playoffs. First guy to ever do that. A record-setting season for the Beantown boys. But, when the Nets got smacked on Friday night, so like Leigh's saying, unlike the Dallas Mavericks responding after the Clippers won game 3, the Nets came back and just smashed it. I mean, they're a great team. They look like they're, I don't know, all 3 of the teams in the Eastern Conference at the top of the conference have looked great in the playoffs so far. Their competition hasn't been the best, but the top 3 seeds have looked incredible. And, the Nets just have a lot of guys who can score. It seems that they didn't get to it, the 30-point game for 3 different players, but it's possible. The only question will be is if a team can score with them long enough to keep all of their stars in the game, because it certainly could happen.
Yeah. Or if it's Joe Harris, who's the 30-point
guy. Sure. That's a good point.
Yeah. I just nothing to take away other than Kevin Durant said after the game where there was the incident where somebody from the crowd threw a plastic bottle at Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant said, these Boston fans, I don't want to see them again. We're not coming back here. And so it's over. When one of your leaders says that, I do not think there's much of a chance that the Celtics can win in Brooklyn here. It's over.
Yeah, Durant had a lot to say, rightfully, about that guy throwing the bottle who has been arrested, I guess. You know, they saw him, they caught him, they took him out. Katie said, "We are not animals. We are not in the circus. You coming to the game is not all about you as a fan. So have some respect for the game. Have some respect for the human beings, and have some respect for yourself." I thought this was a well said here from Durant. That is spot on. This is this recent incident is just a slew of instances of fans throwing items or spitting on guys and all this crap. It's disgusting. Now, I don't know what you guys think of this whole, whoa, look what Kyrie was doing. He stepped on a logo at half. And that makes it okay to some people. I don't think those equal each other, Leigh. Maybe you have a different opinion. I don't think you would. No. But, yeah, some people are trying to say, well, look, is it disrespectful what Kyrie did? Stepping on a cartoon leprechaun's head?
You don't step on a
Some
leprechaun's
people might
head,
think it is, but even if it is, I don't think I think most of us agree that doesn't mean you can go ahead and chuck something at a player. That's pretty embarrassing.
Malika Andrews was reporting today that the person has been charged with assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon for throwing a water bottle at Kyrie Irving. Now, again, people are saying, "Well, it's only a water bottle, whatever." But I think the league and the NBA and the Celtics have to basically send a message to people now saying you are banned for life, because right now this sort of indefinite ban, maybe it's just not enough of a deterrent for fans. Because we've seen the fans spitting on Trae Young last week. And the popcorn incident with Russell Westbrook. So maybe fans are like, they're not really going to enforce anything, so who cares? But to throw an object like that, again, I mean, it's not going to knock him out, but it's just that stupidity and the sort of like, what's next, Right. And I think that's also what Kevin Durant and those guys are alluding to. Is like, if you don't really come down and drop the hammer on these guys now, then someone is going to go too far, especially maybe it's an elimination game and their team gets knocked out. And then someone's like, had a few beers and like, I don't care, I'm just going to do something stupid. So just beyond pathetic, to find any sort of reasoning behind this logo stomp that Kyrie did is just absurd to me, right, that people can be so offended by that. I mean, he's a former player. He used to play there. He said some things about the Celtics, but there's no justification for throwing anything at him. And he's right. Kevin and Kyrie are right about what they're saying. These are not zoo animals. This is a game. You're there. You pay your money, and you're supposed to enjoy yourself. And once you step over that line of throwing any object at the players, as far as I'm concerned, it's one strike and you're out.
Well, yeah, and that's what's happening. These losers are just provoking. They're trying to provoke these players. They're poking them. They're poking them. To go back to like your zoo analogy there. Well, yeah, you're going to do that to the bear or the lion, and then the lion is what they almost want is going to attack you. Well, then what's going to happen? Obviously, like a Kyrie or whoever would go up there, we'd have a meta world peace again around our test, and then they're suspended for the league. And I guess that fan then got what they wanted, even though we'd all love to see them get their asses kicked by some of these players. That would be fantastic. We think they should just come out to center court and let them have at it and see if they would do it in person, right, face to face. But at least he's going to be charged here and all this. What do you make of the logo part of this, Trae? Much ado about nothing here. And maybe let the Celtics try and save face by trying to beat the team instead of the mighty fans throwing a water bottle.
Yeah, exactly right. Who cares about stepping on a logo? It happens thousands of times a game. These guys run back and forth all over that man's face, that leprechaun man's face. It's just shameful stuff, honestly. We've had fans back in stands at full capacity for a week, and we've had 4 incidents already. It's honestly ridiculous. I also loved what Kevin Durant said. Your mother wouldn't be proud of you throwing water bottles at basketball players or spitting on players or tossing popcorn. Grow the fuck up and enjoy the game. Friday was fine. Celtics fans were just taunting Kyrie. That's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. It's okay to not like somebody. It's okay to say you suck. It's okay to curse at them. Just don't throw stuff at people. Just be like a normal human being and not like somebody. Everybody doesn't like somebody, but you don't have to fight them about it.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because, as you said, Game 3 was fine. This is one terrible, terrible seed in the bunch. It's just acting like a child. Like, forget about the zoo analogy. I've made a couple children in my life here, and if those kids threw a bottle at somebody, they wouldn't be allowed in the building. They would have an indefinite ban from my house for a long period of time. And they're kids. I mean, you just don't. And this whole leprechaun thing, come on. I mean, if the bottle situation wasn't a part of this leprechaun walking on the leprechaun's face, then it would sort of just be, your typical playoff hijinks, right? People would be mad about it. We'd be talking about it. Oh, he stepped on the leprechaun. 100 bad years of luck, 100 bad luck for 100 years. Just normal stuff in playoff lore. But this is it's just dumb to equate it. I mean, there's nothing. There's nothing there. Like, absolutely nothing. Just don't be an idiot. That's it.
The leprechaun's name is Lucky too, isn't it?
If you step on a leprechaun's face, it's 100 years of bad luck.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Just pointing that out.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Maybe Kyrie will never hit a shot for the rest of his life here. Maybe that's the thing they'll take from this. Yeah, just stop being idiots and damn fans. And, again, I said this last time with the whole popcorn thing and spitting. It's like, put these people's names everywhere, man. I want to see it. I want to know who they are. I want them, like, throwing stuff at people, spitting on people. There should be repercussions more than just like, oh, you can't come to an NBA game ever again, in my opinion. Let's keep it going here. Saturday, Embiid and the 76ers crushed the Wizards. They take the 3-0 series lead. This one's looking closer and closer to being over. I don't think there's a ton of takeaways from this either. Joel Embiid was awesome, scored 25 in the first half, finished 14 of 18 from the floor in 28 minutes, didn't play the entire fourth quarter. He finished with a career playoff high of 36 points. Actually caught me by surprise. That's his
Thought that was a little low as well. Yeah,
totally. I was like, what? 36? I'm like, well, he did have to play against Marc Gasol a couple times there. Who got the best of him. But 36 for him. Sixers shot 59% from the floor, 51.5% from three. They're just the better team. They're moving on. I can't wait to see them against very likely the Hawks. I am so excited to see Ben Simmons try and slow down like a Trae Young. That'll be awesome. And just like the game within the game there. But let's just do a quick check-in on Davis Bertans, shall we?
Yes.
Got the start in this one, okay? Played 32 minutes, got a lot of burn. Shot 2 for 6 from the floor, 1 for 5 from distance. That is his best skill, by the way. But he helped out in other areas, I'm sure, right? 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. Had a couple turnovers. A -34 out there. And I'm poking fun at him. Again, he can catch fire. He can hit a bunch of threes every once in a while. But this guy's locked up until 2024-25. It's a contract we're almost familiar with, guys. That is in the distance at $16 million per. Right.
Well, he does have an early termination option for that last year. Maybe he'll give some money back.
I'm just saying he was not helping.
Fan in Boston should be locked up until 2024.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, the Wizards just they're outclassed here, and most people had Sixers in a sweep, maybe 5. I went 5. Maybe Beal or Westbrook can put it together for one game. It's not looking likely though. Leigh, this one I assume is over in Game 4.
The Wizards won their championship by just making the playoffs this season. That was it. They looked dead and buried, looked like they weren't even going to make the play-in tournament. So to get to where they got to was a pretty good result in the end. And they're starting to almost like play like that now because outside of Beal, Westbrook had a triple-double, but they're just not getting enough. It's more just like, well, we made the playoffs, guys. That was pretty good. So we can't beat this team. We don't have enough weapons as, they're too good. And Scott Brooks, I think, is also trying to lay the foundation to get a contract extension by saying, man, Joel Embiid, he's playing it at MVP level. No one, I can't imagine anyone playing better than him right now. Basically saying no team could do any better than what we've done right now. So, maybe this is a classic gentleman's sweep here, but even that is just very tough to sell yourself on. So, honestly, for the Wizards, better end to the season than I was expecting. Just as far as being still in the league right now, I thought they were dead and buried about 2 months ago, but they fought back. So that's a good result for them, but they've got no chance. They had no chance anyway in this series. It's just now whether or not they can drag it out for another game. But
probably not. They're likely going to be swept, and let's just move on from that because it's one of the more depressing series in the sense they're just completely outclassed. So let's go to a team that caught us by surprise that got swept. Our final Eastern Conference playoff series matchup here, or it was Saturday. The Bucks took care of the Heat, 120-103, and they are moving on to round 2. Swept the Heat, TK. No one that I saw had that prediction. Tons of people, of course, had the Bucks, but nobody thinking this would be a 4-0 domination, too, after that game 1 that they pulled out in overtime. Just killed them the last 3 games.
This big dumb idiot picked the Heat to win the series. Not good. What a difference a season makes, Skeetsington. Last year, after the Bucks played the Heat, They're eliminated. Lots of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Is Giannis going to leave? Will Bud be fired? Will anything ever change for Milwaukee? This year after playing the Heat, quite a different story. The Bucks wanted the revenge matchup. Like you're saying, they didn't run from it, and they straight up dominated it. Game 1 was close. Then 3 straight blowouts. Game 4, the Bryn Forbes game remix. What? 22 points, 7 threes. He had 22 points and 6 threes in Game 2. Not only were the Bucks great in this series, they got 2 Bryn Forbes games. So good. Bryn Forbes ended up outscoring Jimmy Butler in the entire series.
Wow.
Stupidly locked in, more like stupidly locked down, Jimmy. 14 points per game on 29% shooting. The Bucks were so good in this series. Even I got to trash talk Jimmy Butler. It hurts. Bucks were better than anybody could have asked for in round 1. So I don't know. You got to be feeling great if you're a Bucks fan right now. They answered all of the questions about last year in dominating fashion, more so than you could have ever hoped for. It's like, I don't know. I just think back to that quote from Giannis before the series was starting. And he's just playing it so cool.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows if anything will be different? And then they just destroyed the Heat. Impressive stuff from Milwaukee.
Yeah, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I can't wait to try and predict and break down a second round Nets Bucks matchup test. This is with the way they're playing, how they've looked in both of their series. I mean, a lot of people think maybe will that be the actual series of the entire playoffs with the way these teams are playing right now and some of the defensive, guys that at least the Bucks can try and put on the big three of Brooklyn and slow them a little bit. Is that even possible? I mean, I'm hyped for it. I know we'll get to it later when we actually have the series, but any takeaways from the Bucks looking dominant, or even the Heat and what they do and questions surrounding them in the offseason now?
Yeah, they've got a ton of free agents coming up this offseason. A lot of them starts even with Victor Oladipo. I mean, they traded for him to probably be a part of the future, but now he's injured. There's a lot of questions there. I just even go back, as Trae goes back to before the series, go back to Game 1 where Chris Middleton had to hit a game winner, and then this series obviously turned very, very poorly for the Miami Heat after that. If they somehow squeeze out that one win, which they could have, and that was the game where Giannis was at the free throw line and got the 10-second free throw violation there at the end of the fourth quarter. This series could be entirely different if they get some confidence in that one stinking game. Every possession matters. Every 10-second violation matters, and things can change so drastically. And then obviously, they get absolutely destroyed the last 3 games. It wasn't even freaking close. No, it's real unfortunate that, we were hyped for this series. We should have been hyped for this series. And then the Heat, very different team than last year. And they're going to be very different next year with all these guys that are up for free agency. They've got their big stars locked in, but what are they going to do? I think they've planned pretty well. Pat Riley's playing pretty well. You lock up your Jimmies, you lock up your Bams, and then, lots of guys that they can try and attract, or lots of room to attract another big name like everyone expects Miami to be able to do, and they have that capability anyway.
Yeah, anything to add here, Leigh, about this series or the Heat or whatever you want to go?
Well, just one point from both teams is the Bucks are going to be without Dante DiVincenzo for the remainder of the playoffs. Now, he wasn't having a great series, but he's had a good season for them, and it hurts their depth a little bit. Him and Pat Connaughton kind of interchangeable there, so that's a little bit of a blow there for the Bucks moving forward. And also for Jimmy Butler, just sort of to pile on a little bit here for him, because he was just embarrassingly bad. 29% from the field from this series and 26% from downtown. I mean, 30 rebounds and 28 assists, 1 block. I mean, just a non-factor, really. And I mean, he got the Jason Kidd triple-double on Saturday, which obviously doesn't mean anything. But really, I can't believe he was so bad in this series and so unimpactful. Is that a word? Yeah. But really, and I was super impressed and happy for Budenholzer and the Bucks, because they did have some serious questions going into this series, and they answered them all so far. So they now go in and they beat the Nets in their last 2 regular season games too. So they're going to feel pretty good about this. The Nets will have home court advantage, of course, but should be a banger of a series.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess Jimmy probably wins the award for most disappointing Heat player in the series, but I think Bam would get some consideration. Tyler Hero has to be in the mix. Trevor Ariza got embarrassed, and I wonder how much more Trevor Ariza we're going to see in the league as he gets up there in age. No shortage of guys, I guess, Trae, to sort of go around. No, everybody could take a little bit of blame for getting embarrassed here. And the Bucks are just awesome, is what we're learning here too, which is going to be fun for this second series.
It was so bad for the Heat that Tass was tweeting that they missed Kelly Olynyk, and he was 100% right. Like, it would have helped having Kelly Olynyk around. Basically, the Bucks said, Jimmy, you try and beat us. And he couldn't. But if you were to ask everybody that question heading into overtime in game one after Jimmy had just roasted Giannis going to the hoop to tie things up, maybe it's a different question. But the Bucks really responded after that basket. Obviously, Middleton gets the game winner there at the end of overtime, and it was over for the Heat. As soon as they lost that game, it was basically over, and you do not see that from a Miami team. Very impressive stuff from Milwaukee.
Yeah, we'll probably get into looking at the Heat's offseason a little bit later in the week when we get like less games on, because some of these series start wrapping up and we got a little bit more time to do a deep dive on that. So maybe we'll get to that. But we got to take a break here and hear from our sponsors before we get to the Western Conference. I'll go first, guys. Stressed all the time. Tired 24/7. Just don't like cooking. Yep, that's me. I don't even know how to turn on a stove. I'm a dum-dum. Food that's fast doesn't have to be fast food, though. Freshly offers quality meals without the hard work of prepping, cooking, and cleaning. That's an underrated part of Freshly here. The whole, not a lot of cleaning going on, fork and a knife, or maybe even a spork if you've got one.
A little spoon fork.
Exactly. Freshly offers chef-made, nutrient-packed, delicious meals delivered fresh to your door. No cooking required. Grocery shopping and cooking, it just can be a pain, especially right now. And with Freshly, you don't have to. Your meals arrive cooked and fresh every week, so you can keep your fridge stocked and skip the trip to the store. Ordering, super easy. Visit freshly.com and choose from over 30 delicious, satisfying, better-for-you meals, like steak peppercorn. I love saying the word peppercorn. That is just a great word to say. In fact, someone should name their child Peppercorn. Sausage, baked penne. Don't name your kid that. Yeah, or chicken pesto bowl. And now our listeners can try Freshly for just $6.16 per meal. Stop searching the internet for healthy food near me. Yeah, right. Doesn't exist. Every night, and just start living life freshly. Your meals are always delivered fresh, never frozen. And they're ready to heat and enjoy in just 3 minutes. Right now, Freshly is offering our listeners $40 off your first 2 orders when you go to freshly.com/nodunks. So stop stressing about dinner. Stop stressing about how to turn on the stove. Go to freshly.com/nodunks for $40 off your first 2 orders. That's freshly.com/nodunks for $40 off your first 2 orders.
Way to turn on the microwave, little peppercorn. You did it, little peppercorn. Good job, cutie.
Isn't that fun to say? Maybe that's just a good nickname for a kid. Look at little peppercorn.
As Sep B mentioned, also a great name for a pet, like a black and white dog, Peppercorn.
Yeah, that's maybe better. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know, Peppercorn Kirby sounds actually pretty good. Sounds like it would be a reliever in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Peppercorn Kirby.
Bring in the lefty. Peppercorn Kirby coming in.
For most of us, learning a second language in high school or college wasn't exactly a high point of our academic careers, but for me, it was. I got a 90 in Spanish and a 94 in Greek that I pulled over from my Saturday classes that I graduated on. And that boosted my average. And that got me into college, where I met these 2 dudes here with me here. And hey, we started a program, and here we are years later talking about it.
I've never heard you call the podcast a program.
Thanks for tuning into the program, but it is.
I'm going formal. I don't know. I just said peppercorn. Now I got to... All my P words are coming up here. My pronunciations of my P words. Now, thanks to Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app, there's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language. And as travel starts to open up, this is the perfect time to start something new with Babbel's easy-to-use lesson plan. It's easy. It's quick. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Babbel designs their courses with practical, real-world conversations in mind, things you'll get to use in everyday life. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel, no, real stuff. Their lessons were created by over 100 language experts. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Try and beat my 94 out of 100. in my Spanish class. Actually, I think I got 90 in that one with Senora Garcia. She kicked ass. She was great. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use promo code NODUNKS. That's BABBEL.com, code NODUNKS for an extra 3 months free. Babbel, language for life.
I like this here from Crocker. No Dunks is my favorite YouTube program. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. The perfect podcast program. Love it, guys. Love it. All right. What do you got, TK?
Lots of things can make your workouts hard. A bad night's sleep could leave you groggy. Maybe you sliced your thumb on a bagel and now it's tough to do push-ups. Oh, this was gnarly, Skeetsy. Maybe eating a giant burrito right before a pickup game wasn't the best idea. I can tell you that's true from experience. But your socks shouldn't make your workouts hard. That's why Bombas Performance Socks are built to be nothing but comfortable and supportive. Bombas Performance Socks have taken all the amazing innovations that make Bombas the most comfortable socks you've ever worn and added their special Hex Tech performance technology. Bombas Performance Socks are stitched with special moisture-wicking yarn and temperature-regulating vents that allow cool airflow in and prevent overheating. They come with a pillow-like tab to save you from blisters, stay-up technology, a special arch-hugging system, and an extra layer of cushiony comfort on the bottom for the perfect amount of support. All of this in 2 socks. They come in different styles for every sport with specific design features to help you optimize performance and keep you comfortable no matter what you're doing. I wear them for basketball, and my hooks have never looked better. Just like all their socks, for every pair of Bombas Performance Socks you buy, they donate a pair to someone in need. They've donated over 45 million pairs so far, so go to bombas.com/nodunks today. Get 20% off your first order. That's BOMBAS, bombas.com/nodunks. For 20% off, bombas.com/nodunks.
Yeah, that was my bad there. I threw that up there, Tess, from Max. Did Tess just call a woman senor?
I didn't mean to.
Okay.
I think I said senora.
I meant to
Garcia.
I meant to get ready for this one from Finn B. No Dunks really secured the bag for this episode. Oh, you have no idea, Finn.
Our Bomba socks are full of coins, man. Full of them.
That's exactly right. All right, let's get to the Western Conference. We've broke down all the East playoff matchups. Let's get to the West. We'll start with Sunday. Chris Paul and the Suns beating the Lakers 100-92 to even the series. Also coming out of this one, Anthony Davis injuring his groin. Tass, what's your big takeaway from the Suns-Lakers series that's tied at 2 games apiece?
Yes, this is exciting. We're tied up at 2. The joke earlier in the series was that Jay Crowder only woke up LeBron and the series is over. Well, maybe it's the opposite. Crowder had his first good offensive game of the series, 17 points. Maybe Crowder was rope-a-doping the Lakers. But more seriously, maybe Chris Paul was rope-a-doping us. The real story in this game is that Chris Paul had his best offensive game. We know his shoulder has been banged up. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to take threes. He still couldn't hit a 3 in this one, but he started to look like himself, scoring 18 points, getting into the mid-range and firing it away. Apparently, before the game, him and Monty Williams had to have a discussion. Apparently, Chris Paul wasn't going to go. Monty Williams said, we're going to rest you, get you back for the next game. But Chris Paul said, let me just see how I go in there. And he took 15 shots. 8 was his previous high in the series. So it started to feel good. That's obviously a great sign as they go back to Phoenix. Suns are getting healthier, and the Lakers are going the opposite way. As you said, Skeets, Anthony Davis left this game early in the third quarter. He kind of landed awkwardly, tweaked the groin, which is scary. But it is day-to-day, status up in the air for Game 5. And then Dennis Schroeder picked a horrible day to have a bad one because LeBron needed some help. And as the Suns pulled away in the third, no one helped LeBron, especially didn't help having Kentavious Caldwell-Pope out. He had a knee contusion, which is a bruise, as Marv Albert said on the broadcast a few days ago. Saying bracket knee contusion is new in the NBA, and Marv Albert's just not having it. It's a bruise. Do you get it?
There we go.
The Lakers even got their Marc Gasol game in this one, which is 12 points. But hey, Mark was chipping in. But if I'm the Suns, I'm still concerned. I'm not thinking that this is their series whatsoever. Even though they're 3.5 point favorites in Game 5, I'm worried about LeBron because at the end of this game, he was nodding. He was thinking, okay, I get what you guys are doing to me. You got me to turn the ball over 6 times. They are crowding him more, but I think he'll be ready for Game 5, and he'll be finding his guys who I think will be a little bit more ready. As I said, KCP hopefully back. I think the guys just around him will be ready to fire away a little bit more, and I think LeBron is he'll bounce back too. He had 25, 12, and 6 assists. Solid game for him, but I think he'll bounce back with those 6 turnovers. So this is still the Lakers series. I think it's still the Lakers are the favorites for me. Obviously, the Anthony Davis situation is throws a little wrench into it, but we got a 3-game set, and it wouldn't surprise me if we go 7 back to Phoenix, and then I'm betting on the King in that one.
Is this a pivotal Game 5 coming up, Leigh? What do you think?
It's been every game in this series has been pivotal so far, so absolutely. But yeah, Chris Paul looked just 100 million times better than he's looked in games 2 or 3 in this series, and I think that's mostly the most important takeaway. Obviously, the Anthony Davis injury is huge, and DeAndre Ayton I thought was actually very good yesterday. But the fact that Chris Paul can run and pass the ball and step into those little mid-ranges, you saw him hit a couple there late in the 4th quarter when they just needed to keep the Lakers at bay. Looked like the Lakers, I think they were down 18 in the 4th quarter, but it just sort of felt, if they can't close this game out, then obviously the series is a wrap. But they were able to do that. So Chris Paul being Chris Paul is huge. Now, what does it say for the rest of the series? It's still very hard to bet against LeBron. I wouldn't be surprised if Davis does miss that game because he didn't look when they showed him in the tunnel after he sort of came off the court. He looked like he was really moving slowly there. So perhaps the Lakers do go on the side of caution here, thinking and expecting to be going long into the series, into the playoffs, that maybe they sit him out for that game, knowing that it's still LeBron. It's still the Lakers. They can still get out of this. But I'm just happy that the Suns are still alive because it looked douchebag sweep all over it. You really couldn't rely on Crowder and Chris Paul's health. And those 2 things were huge factors in Game 4. So very happy that the Suns are still alive and hope we do get a 7-game series. It'd be fun to see.
Yeah, if AD can't play in Game 5, let's say, Trae, my gut says he'll give it a go. That he'll at least start and see how the groin is feeling. And let's not forget too, he sort of hyperextended his leg in Game 3. I mean, this guy picks up injuries after injuries. I saw Rod Benson, who used to play in the NBA, had a long professional career overseas. Big guy, 6'10". He sort of was tweeting about AD just never learned how to land. He just struggles landing. And this is where he picks up a lot of these weird, knee buckling and pulling things and stuff. And I was like, I never really thought of that. But I mean, he obviously speaks from experience. He's a giant dude in the NBA. And there is some skill to that. And then somebody was sending me an article about Joel Embiid was being talked about. He needs to learn how to land better and stuff. When you're that big, it is sort of a weird skill to maybe to add to your repertoire there, just so you don't pick up these injuries. But anyway,
I can't believe I'm going to say this, Skeets. It's not just big guys. Even Dwayne Wade had to learn how to land once upon a time. He took karate lessons to learn how to land so that he would stop spraining his ankles by landing on people. You got to learn these moves because we've said it so many times. AD will leave a game quite often.
Yes.
Rarely does he not return to the game, though, and that's the difference here. Tables have turned a little bit in this series because now it looks like the Suns have the healthier 2 stars. Perhaps the supporting casts are well matched. I don't think the Lakers have necessarily had a great support game yet this playoffs, but they know their roles. Maybe you would say the Suns are a little deeper in the role players, but they're still there in their first year in the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting set up here for our first big LeBron game at the playoffs. They're going to need him to do something massive to get him easy buckets for Anthony Davis if he goes out there and tries to gut it out. So once, like Tass is saying, we saw LeBron nodding there at the end. Looks like he's going to get set up for a stone face here in Game 5, and they're going to need a huge game from him. They're going to need him to control the game rather than just kind of try and pick the Suns apart.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Everybody, now that it's 2-2, and if AD isn't 100% healthy, which he won't be, but even if he doesn't play or he does play in Game 5, everybody is expecting the 40, 15, 12 game here from LeBron in Game 5. Everybody is.
Totally.
But, can Bridges and Crowder and Craig, if he gets spot minutes, can they slow him down enough? And can they try and can you keep LeBron out of the paint? That's the number one thing to watch for at the start of Game 5. Is LeBron attacking? How aggressive is he? Or is he settling? And then is the jumper falling or not? I mean, yeah, I am hyped for this game 5. Definitely pivotal, Magic Johnson. And I think it is going 7. That was my prediction at the start of the series. I had the Lakers winning in 7, and I don't see why it wouldn't at this point, knowing now Chris Paul is like at least looking like, okay, a lot more like the Chris Paul we saw in the regular season. Very excited for game 5. But yeah, in terms of predicting like what type of LeBron game we're going to get, well, you would usually bet on him having a monster game. But he's still going to need some help, right, Tass? Like you said, you need some of these other guys to hit shots. Gasol hit a couple. That was good. But will he do that again in back-to-back games? Doesn't happen all that often with him. So,
if you remember in the playoffs last year, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was their third best scorer. And even though Rajon Rondo would claim that he was the third most important player, I think KCP's scoring is really, really important. He wasn't in this game. He was out with the bruise / contusion. So hopefully he's back for them. But yeah, I think it's rally around the king time. If LeBron is serious, those guys follow suit, right? Your Caruso's who had a bad shooting night, and KCP if he's back. But obviously, this is damn exciting to have a 2-2 series here between these two juggernauts. And I got to mention Nair's comment because it's a very good pun. Nair in the stream team says Anthony Davis is still young. He's just experiencing growing pains. Pains. Good one.
Loves it, eh? You loved Growing Pains, didn't you? It was a good show.
I did. Yeah. Alan Thicke, rest in peace.
That's right.
And yeah, it was Tracy Gold, Kirk Cameron, a young Leo DiCaprio.
Leonardo, that's right. Hey, who was
Leonardo?
Yeah, who was
I was going to
Boner?
say there was a boner, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget who played that guy. That wasn't Leo, right? No, he wasn't.
No. Boner was Mike's buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kirk Cameron's buddy.
Yeah.
He lived, remember when he lived above the garage in
Yeah.
his own place? That was I thought that was the coolest thing ever when I was a kid. It's like, wow, he lives above the garage. I just thought it was awesome. Cool. We didn't have a garage, so maybe that's why I thought it was cool. All right, so we're very excited for game 5. Obviously earlier this week, but we'll see what happens with Anthony Davis. I don't know. Like, I guess what I was going to ask you before I went off on that weird tangent there about falling, Trae, was like, if AD didn't play in the rest of the series, would you still take the Lakers? Would you still take LeBron? Or in that case, would you go Suns? He's not playing anymore. That's the hypothetical. Where would you go then?
That's a tough call. I mean, LeBron doesn't lose in the first round, but Ayton has been impressive in this series. And if he's going to be playing like, a top 10, top 15 center in the league with Anthony Davis out, that would be tough, especially considering, like Leigh said, in game 4, Chris Paul looked the most like Chris Paul he has since basically the first half of game 1. So, I mean, I would probably just pick LeBron because it is LeBron, but not a lot of confidence if that's the case.
All right, well, let's go from one LA team to the other. Lakers losing, couple injuries there. Going a bit better for the other LA team as their stars in 2 games this weekend carried the Clippers. I'm talking Kawhi and Paul George for the most part there in Dallas. 118-108 on Friday, 106-81 on Sunday. That was a blowout. And they have suddenly evened this series at 2 games apiece. Coach Lou was right, Leigh.
Mm-hmm.
They were the
advantage.
That's right.
What?
Road court advantage. But anyway, what did you think of these games here from the Clips?
Biggest weekend in Clippers/Paul George history, and it turned out pretty well in the end for Paul George. The Clippers, they deserved all the ridicule and scorn after dropping those first 2 games at home. And when they were down 19 in the first quarter of game 3, it looked like complete humiliation was coming up here for the Clippers. But now they deserve to be given respect for how they've rescued the series, probably their season, by winning these last 2 in Dallas. And now, in a best-of-3 situation, they should be able to win it from here, really. I mean, they are just playing much better. And, of course, it starts with their 2 stars, Kawhi and Paul, as you mentioned there. And also for the Mavericks, 2 big problems. Luka Doncic has had some sort of weird neck injury that he's picked up. Now, he's not making an excuse. He said he's 100%. Rick Carlisle said, no, he's injured. But Doncic, to be fair, had a huge game on Friday night when he got that injury. But also, what the questions that we had about the Clippers and their sort of supporting cast now get basically turned back on the Mavericks, because the Mavericks, they win their games on offense. But Tim Hardaway, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Kleber yesterday, who were good in LA, combined for 12 points yesterday in the blowout loss. So now it's like, okay, they had 2 incredible wins in LA. Can they win again in LA? Can they do that one more time? Because that's the Mavericks' best chance here, is winning game 5 and then having a chance to close it out in game 6. So if it goes to game 7, I mean, you're just going to favor the home team. But
Are
yes.
you?
Not in this series, Leigh.
The hobo sweep is on the table here, Leigh. All road wins.
It is. But I just feel, especially from last night's game, I mean, this wasn't close. No. And again, Doncic is clearly bothered by that injury. But even still, just the way they've been penetrating inside, there's been no defense there from Dallas. And that's the huge concern here is the Clippers have figured out a way. Reggie Jackson came into the starting lineup. Good move, I think, there from Ty Lue. Patrick Beverley's basically not played. They're just getting way more offensive flow going. And Kawhi is basically saying, and Paul George is like, that lane is open. I just got to beat my defender and I can go inside and get a high percentage. Look, why would they not do that in LA? If they lose in LA, I mean, that would just be a complete disaster for the Clippers. But I just sort of feel now that they've got those 2 losses were ugly and bad, and all the questions came back. And I thought the Clippers glass jaw syndrome with them, they can't come back from adversity, and they have done very, very impressively there in Dallas. So they have to finish it off from here. Yeah. Even that, I'm still sort of like, it's the Clippers though. Who knows? But certainly a much better performance in games 3 and 4 than 1 and 2.
Yeah, Tass, what do you think? Best of 3 series now here between these 2 teams.
Yeah, well, Ty Lue was confident after those 2 losses. It's a head scratcher why he was confident looking back, but at the same time, they changed their lineup, and that's changed things big time. They sat Ivica Zubac to start games. That's the biggest thing for me. Luka Doncic was cooking the 7-footer whenever he got any sort of pick. They would just switch Zubac onto him, and now Nicholas Batum, who was a waiver wire signing, back in the day, back earlier this season, it feels like years ago, Charlotte released him. Now Batum is starting, and he is obviously more agile than Zubac, and things have shut down for the Mavs. They just are a lot quicker on defense, the Clippers are, and this is fun to watch the Clippers. It feels weird to say that, but as soon as Batum is in there, along with Reggie Jackson, those guys want to push, and they freaking push it. They get a stop and they go right down the Mavs' throats because the Mavs are struggling defensively. That's their problem. That's their issue there. And as far as the Doncic injury thing goes, it's obviously a real tough injury. He's got the old JD injury. I can't turn my head right. I mean, it's a very real injury. I don't think there's anyone who wonders if he's injured or not. Like, there's some points where he couldn't turn. Like he had to turn his body.
It's like George Costanza. It's not a good turn.
I thought it was like Zoolander, can't turn left.
Yes, that's a serious one. There's a lot of bandages on that neck and shoulder area, way more than Chris Paul has. So whether it's Zoolander or the George Costanza, I mean, that's real. They needed Porzingis to step up in this one. I think that's why they started going to him the first few possessions. We need you hot, man. Yeah. We need you to be able to score, and we need you to take the pressure off Luka because he's not going to have a good game. And that didn't work out. It's more on the defensive end. They just have the confidence now that they have the perfect lineup. They have a good amount of defenders to work around Kawhi and Paul George, and they have enough shooting around those guys. So it doesn't look good, especially Luka. This is the stat of the playoffs for me. He's shooting better from the 3-point line than the free throw line in the playoffs. What? 40.9 versus 40.6. He's 0 for 5 from the free throw line in this one. He's just sometimes, really weird. The shot obviously was looking amazing the first 3 games, I should say. But he got jolted in game 3, and he felt better on the game day than he did the day before. So hopefully he feels even better in game 5. But big time momentum in the Clippers locker room right now.
Got a couple days to maybe loosen up that neck and get it back to as close to 100%. Right? They do have an extra day here, so that's good for the Mavs, of course, as they go back to LA. Jay and the stream team pointing this out too, TK, which was nice. Nice to see Hubie Brown was trending on Twitter there, just because a bunch of people were showing him some love. What was it? Hubie Brown's 86, 87 years old, something like that, and obviously still one of the best. That was cool. I don't know why people were just like, "Oh, Hubie Brown's great." I don't know why it took so long. Oh, whatever, we'll do it.
Everybody's tuned into the playoffs. We got 8 series, so all the networks are going deep into their bag of commentators. And yeah, once you get Hubie on a call, it's always great to hear him. I remember I was at that game 1 in San Antonio 2014 when the air conditioning went out and it was super duper hot. I saw Hubie Brown flying to, I guess it would have been Miami for game 3. And I was like, Hubie, you ever been in a game that hot? He's like, yeah, I have. It was like 30 years prior. He was in the original Heat game. The man was like, they were like, Hubie Brown was 15 years old when George Mikan was doing these stats that was on the thing. If you actually saw George Mikan play and can reference the games he was having, that's incredible. No wonder the guy's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely. Give Hubie his flowers now while we still got him. And he's still great. I mean, I saw people in the stream team saying like, look, I hate to do it, but there is a crazy comparison where and I know they're doing 2 different roles. Marv's doing play-by-play. Hubie's doing color commentary, but it's like, he sure doesn't sound, Hubie doesn't sound 87 or 86, whatever the heck he is. He sounds like 30 years younger, Leigh. He's obviously still with it, and he knows, he's forgotten more about this game than all of us combined know about it, and everybody in the stream team included. Like, he's just seen everything and remembers it all and has a great way of getting it across, and he's the best.
And it was at the finals, I think, in 2018. I was with Bones, and we bumped into Hubie. We had an elevator ride together, and it was great just talking to him about it.
Everybody's got a Hubie Brown story.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome because he's like basketball reference. That's what I call him. He's basketball reference because he knows everyone's stats, everyone's shooting splits, everyone's percentage when they get into the lane. It's like incredible how he's so sharp still, considering everything he's watched and learned and just how old he is as well. I mean, it's remarkable. So great to have him there, Hubes. Well done, son.
And he's taken a son. You can't call him son.
And we know you're old, but...
Sorry. By the way, there's one thing I have to bring up from the Friday night game.
Yeah.
I know this is going way back. I meant to mention earlier the audacity of Trae Young, who went inside, who's 6'1", right?
Yeah.
And scored a floater over Emmanuel Quickly, who's 6'3", and then ran back down the court doing he's too small. What an incredible moment that was. I just remember that because I called Hubie son when, that's clearly not fair. So you just reminded me of it. But what an incredible moment from Trae Young.
I thought we were going to have some sort of weird, like Chris Haynes, Dr. Fauci, you calling out Hubie Brown. You want to go one-on-one with them, set up a game. That could be the opening game on the card between Haynes and Fauci. Leigh Ellis versus Hubie Brown. Hubie's got game, man. Oh, yeah. He saw you play. This is George Mikan. He knows your game.
Hubes.
All right. Let's keep it going here. Let's move over to our next game. It's Saturday. It was the Blazers taking care of business, beating the Nuggets 115-95. And we're all tied up in this one too, baby. Yes, Denver and Portland. 2 games apiece. Big takeaway from this one. I'll get us started. Norm! Just like Dort, all right? Everybody's dropping Dort in the stream team. Cap locks, exclamation mark. Let's do it for Norm because he's the real playoff P. That's right. You heard me. Norman Powell, though, was awesome. He made his first 4 shots, first 11 of 13, finished with 29 points. He had the Portland crowd chanting his name. And as a Raptors fan, this isn't actually anything new. Norman Powell just has moments in playoff series where he turns the tide, has big games, big moments. We saw it time and time again. I talked about it before when he got traded from the Raps to the Blazers earlier this year. But Tass, you'll remember a lot of these. He saved the entire We the North mantra, really, with that performance in Game 5 versus the Pacers in 16. Did the same thing in 17 versus the Bucks in Game 5. He popped off for 23. 2019 Eastern Conference Finals versus the Bucks. He was huge in the games, specifically at home in Toronto. He had 19 off the bench in Game 3. Big plays in the 4th and double overtime and stuff like that. And then he chipped in another 18 in Game 4. And he was just letting it fly in that one. Anyway, he has these moments, Norman Powell, man, and he had one here. He was awesome. And I would pair that with Nurk outplaying Jokic in Game 4. As much as you possibly can. The Blazers' big man, 17 points, 6 boards, and 2 blocks. Stayed out of foul trouble. Stayed out there. I mean, they were just matching his minutes. Jokic was out there. Nurk's got to be out there. And Jokic had a very pedestrian 16 points, 3rd lowest playoff output of his career after scoring, of course, 34, 38, 36 in the first 3 games and feeling like he couldn't miss. And here we are, Blazers getting a win, guys, with Damian Lillard going 1 for 10. I mean, that's the crazy part. If you are the Blazers, you're like, what we just won this game with our guy that usually goes for 30 plus in his sleep, having a brutal night. And a big part of it, Leigh, was Norm and Nurk. I think both were awesome for them.
Yeah, two good quotes, and one of them was from Mike Malone afterwards saying, if you told me going into the game that Lillard going to be 1 for 10 from the field and we're going to get blown out, I'd probably have a hard time believing that. And absolutely, that is true. Like Lillard almost pulled a triple-double out of this game, but clearly it wasn't his best performance. But really impressive victory there by the Blazers, and I thought that Nurkic was good. And after the game, because Kendrick Perkins had been giving him a bit of stick in the media, and he said about Kendrick Perkins, I guess in this league today, he'd be a mascot. And I think that's a great comeback there from Nurkic, because he has been taking a bit of stick in this series, and Jokic has been too good for him. But, this was just a huge needed victory here for Portland to stay in it, because now, again, it's a 3-game series. Obviously, the Nuggets have home court advantage here, but this is where it was a couple of years ago, and the Blazers did get that Game 7 victory on the road. So they know they've done it. They know they've beaten, largely this team on the road, and they can do it. And now they have to feel pretty confident, because you're going to get better performances out of Lillard. You just want to have a little bit. You're going to have some regression to the mean here from Norm Powell, but if you can get most of that game in Game 4, it just changes their offensive outlook so much better. So, rough game for so many of the Nuggets. No one really played all that well. You expect they're going to be much better in Game 5, but it's a great series. I picked the Blazers in 7. I mean, I'm going to ride with it, but it's a fascinating series. Really could go either way.
Another pivotal Game 5. Trey Kirby, we got to love it.
Oh, of course, you got to love it, and it's no surprise. This one just feels like it's going 7. Neither of these teams is going to be good enough, consistently enough to blow out the other team for the entirety of the series. Nurkic did a great job. I kind of feel like with Nurkic, anything he does on the court is almost gravy to him just being able to stay on the court and match Jokic's minutes, like you're saying, Skeets. Him being out there just gives them a chance, because otherwise it's like, that Jokic is going to absolutely cook Cantor. They're not even going to try playing Harry Giles. So Nurkic being able to give major minutes and then go out and trash talk Kendrick Perkins, that's huge for the Blazers. Now we got a 3-game series, and it's going to come down to, does Jokic go out and have 3 more 35-point nights? Because that's how the Nuggets win. Or does Damian Lillard go out and have 3 35-point nights for the Blazers? That's how they win. Good series going here. Fun to watch. Would you cheer for a Kendrick Perkins team if it was like the Portland Perkins, and like that's literally your mascot? Is Kendrick Perkins shooting that jump shot? Remember they did like the NBA logo for him when he hit that one jump shot with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He had a massive squat with his jumper. I personally wouldn't, but I don't know. Maybe there are some fans out there.
We're probably getting the Sonics back at some point, right, in Seattle. Maybe they'll add another team. So you're like pitching like the Las Vegas Perks or something like that. Las Vegas Perkins.
Punxsutawney Perkins.
Yeah. Okay.
That can work. The Las Vegas Perks. There's a lot of perks. You're trying to book a hotel, trying to really in. A lot of points.
Maybe. Anything to add to this series, Tess?
Well, Jokic had his first off game of the series, and I can't stand when they're playing at 4 o'clock. They played the Blazers. They started at 4 o'clock Eastern, while the Sixers and the Wizards started at 7 o'clock Eastern. Flip those things and just put it in prime time. And I think I'm going to blame the early start for Jokic's poor performance. That's like a 1 o'clock Nugget time, 1 o'clock Mountain time. So I'm sure he was a little napsy. And you could say the same for the Blazers as well. But their Game 7, if they do play again, if they do go to 7 games, is also on a Saturday. But I think there won't be enough games to shove them into the afternoon lineup. I'm getting selfish. I don't want to watch that in the afternoon. Give me prime time Jokic. So we'll see if this goes 7. But I still have big hopes for the Nuggets in this one to bounce back. Jokic will bounce back, but if he has a bad game, especially with Jamal Murray out, it's just unlikely that they're going to win. So there's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, the number one thing to watch in Game 5 is like how quickly or not Nurk picks up 2 fouls. He's fine with 1. You can get 1 early, but then you can't pick up a second one quick, or they're going to be in for a long night. He has to be out there, like Trey said, to at least try and slow Jokic. And even if he's on him, I mean, Jokic, of course, could still go for 30-12, no problem, but can't wait for Game 5. All right, final series, man. We are running long, of course, here on a Monday. Donovan Mitchell on Saturday scored 29 points. Jazz beat the Grizzlies for the 2-1 lead. Trey, get us started. Big takeaways from Game 3 here between these teams.
Well, I've somehow made two Grizzlies buddies recently. They're both really loving this series, loving the reps that Memphis is getting, but they're also kind of understanding that the Jazz are really, really good, maybe even a little bit underrated still here in the playoffs. Since the Game 1 Donovan Mitchell snafu, they've really looked like the Jazz, and I thought Game 3 in particular was a microcosm. They had the three-point shooting. They went 19 of 43, made 6 more three-pointers than the Grizzlies. As we know, the Jazz are a great three-point shooting team where the Grizzlies are not. So if you're +6 there, that's an extra 18 points. That's tough for Memphis to make back. They also had Donovan Mitchell balling out, 29 points on a tough shooting night. He had 10 in the fourth quarter, had a big and one, had a big three-pointer down the stretch. Three-point shooting and Donovan Mitchell at the end. That's a nice combination for the Jazz. And of course, they had the defense as well. Ja hit a floater, put the Grizz up by 2 with 4.5 minutes left. Memphis didn't make another basket for the rest of the game. So the Jazz are locking it down on defense. They've got the three-pointers dropping. They've got Donovan Mitchell rounding into form after missing that Game 1. I also thought Mike Conley was really great in this game. 27 points, 7 threes. A great win for Utah. They're just looking like we thought Utah would look heading into this series. They got caught off guard in Game 1. Donovan Mitchell missing unexpectedly where the Grizzlies were coming in, having playing in that playoff or play-in tournament, having played a bunch of really big games down the stretch, whereas the Jazz were just completely caught off guard. Took the L. Since then, they've recovered, looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, Leigh, is this a douchebag sweep we're going to be looking at here with the Jazz Grizz?
Think so, yeah. And again, as Trae pointed out there, that's the biggest takeaway is the Jazz threes start falling and they're just very, very hard to defend because they get everyone basically apart from their bigs can shoot threes, so they spread the floor well. And if you get one guy like Conley who finished with 7 of them, it just really makes their offense flow a lot better. But it was close. I mean, the Grizzlies had enough of an opportunity here to pull this one out, but then the Jazz's defense was able to really stifle them down the stretch there. So the Jazz are the better team. The Grizzlies are not going to go away quietly. They're going to fight, but it just doesn't feel like they have quite enough offense there. Dillon Brooks fouled out again. And also, there's a couple of weird videos going around. I'm not sure if you guys saw them. Doing some weird stuff to Mike Conley there, like sort of punching him and getting head into his shoulder and stuff like that. Really playing up to that, like, hey, you know why I've got the most punchable face? Because I'm just the most punchable guy in the league as well. He just doing some weird stuff there.
He's an irritant for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but fun game, fun atmosphere there. Looked like the grindhouse really was bumping as well. So, I can see the Grizzlies. I can see them maybe extending it, but certainly the Jazz are the better team with Donovan Mitchell back there. He's taken a game or two to sort of find his legs, but once they start rolling, and again, once that offense opens up with him back in that lineup, he didn't shoot it all that well himself from 3, 2 for 10. But it's just another option, another weapon. And if he can find those shooters on the corners, then the Jazz are just at their best when that's the way that they play. So going to be tough here from the Grizzlies to do anything more than extend the series. But good for the Jazz because, of course, the incident with Donovan Mitchell last week, we wanted to sort of forget about that and concentrate on the basketball. And I think that's what's happened for them.
Yeah, Game 4 between these two teams tonight, Tass. 9:30 start. You'll be happy with that. Only 2 games on tonight. We got the Wizards trying to stay alive. Yeah. Sixers, Wizards, Game 4. I'll get your brooms out probably for that one. And then, a big Game 4 in Memphis, at least, for the Grizzlies to try and make this a best-of-3 series like a lot of these Western Conference matchups are. Can they do it as well, or do you think the Jazz with Mitchell back and everyone sort of falling back into their roles a little bit more because you've got your superstar back, that they're looking pretty good here over these next couple of games?
Well, I am absolutely loving this series because I love the way Memphis fought back in that Game 3. That was easily, the game that the Jazz could have rolled to a 40-point win if Memphis didn't fight back. Mm-hmm. And they lost that first quarter by double digits. They were leaving the Jazz shooters open. Then you got Taylor Jenkins, head coach of the Grizzlies, just on his guys, all over them. And they played them even the rest of the game. But when it came down to the last few minutes, John Morant fired his shots a little bit earlier and kind of ran out of steam the last few minutes. And Donovan Mitchell is a legit superstar. Everybody is comparing this Utah Jazz team to the Atlanta Hawks team in 2014-15 that won 60 games. The difference is the Hawks did not have a Donovan Mitchell to be able to just take over. This is truly a team where we'll play together for 45 minutes and then Donovan, it's your show, man. Just run it. And yeah, he didn't have an incredible night, but they could just rely on him to create those last few minutes. And he ended up having, those 29 points, as Trae mentioned. And I wonder if the Jazz or the Hawks team even had a Mike Conley. We're talking about that Hawks team with Jeff Teague and Al Horford and Paul Millsap, Damari Carroll, and Kyle Korver. And Mike Conley looks so good in this game.
He was great.
Getting up to his 27 points. They got their starting backcourt back, but I really love this Grizzlies team. They fought even for those last 3 quarters. I could definitely see them coming back and winning this game and making it an interesting series here down the stretch. But also that the Dillon Brooks getting into Mike Conley's face, neck, shoulder thing. He's been doing it all series with his head. And I wonder if the Jazz sent some tapes to the league because, I don't know if you can retroactively look back, but the guy's doing, he's headbutting. He's doing some Evander Holyfield, just like bonky on the face with his head. I mean, he's doing it over and over and over again. And it's like not egregious enough to call in the moment. But yeah, he's living up to that reputation for sure.
Yeah, I also love that Mike Conley is so beloved even by Grizzlies fans, that we're not here today on Monday going, well, it was the Mike Conley revenge game and stuff like that, right? I mean, he was awesome, like you guys said. He had 27 points, 8 assists, 6 boards. He had 7 threes in this game 3. It's just, but it's Mike Conley. Everyone's like, even Grizzlies fans are like, well, good game, Mike. Sorry about Brooks punching you or headbutting you in the face. But he's just so beloved. Anyway, we'll see what happens in game 4. It is weird. I will say the one clip of Brooks, the headbutting, I'm not going to sit here and defend that crap because you're right. It's getting a little way too close to the guy's actual head. And you can of course, pop somebody's or you really hurt somebody's eye or something like that. Whatever. It's silly too. It's stupid. The one where the punching one you said, Leigh, where maybe it looked like he was going to sort of cut back door. And it was sort of almost like the swim off move, get your hand off me. I think people are going a little overboard. It was a punch. I don't think it was a punch. Personal opinion. It's more of that. It happened in an earlier series where we got into that with someone else. Trae, I don't know if you remember.
Doncic punched a guy.
Was it Doncic? Oh,
that was before the playoffs.
Was that before the playoffs? Yeah, you're right.
He punched Colin Sexton there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a punch.
I know what you're saying.
But Sexton was he didn't actually mean to punch me,
right?
In the sense it was the get off me, I'm clearing my arm, whatever and stuff like that. Anyway, I sort of think that's what Brooks was doing. But he's an irritant and he's a bit of a hothead, and he believes he's the greatest player in the world, and that's what makes him fun as hell to watch at times, and can get himself into trouble, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, Mike Conley won the battle here. He might have gotten headbutted and punched a bunch of times, but he also dropped 27 on Dillon Brooks' head and changed Dillon Brooks' name to Dillon Brooks, was eventually fouled out of this game. You could just put that on almost every single story about this guy.
Yeah. No, he's he plays very, very, very aggressive.
Oh my goodness, man. Way off, buddy.
Yeah, very, very, very aggressive. All right, we got to take one more break. We do have Tweet of the Night, though, still, so don't go anywhere. What do you got for us, Leigh?
Yeah, well, we're all married men, and we've made a few big purchases in our life: houses, cars, and boats. You got a boat, don't you, Trae? You have a boat?
It's got a drum boat.
Not yet, buddy.
Okay, but there's a boat. There's a boat coming there. Especially.
Thank you.
I can feel it. Especially with growing families, there's going to be a few more big purchases, and we all know that before you make a big purchase, you need to know if you can afford it. And how you're going to finance it. It's exciting, but it's also big boy stuff. That's where Credit Karma comes in. Credit Karma's technology shows you tailored offers for credit cards and personal loans that you're more likely to be approved for, so you can apply with more confidence. They use your credit and other financial information to show you custom recommendations with a selection of options and approval odds. You have the power to make informed decisions. So you're going to get that boat, the big TK. What are you going to call a boat? What would you call it?
The big TK. I like the name of that.
Nice.
Peppercord.
Peppercord.
Go to creditkarma.com/no-dunks to learn more and find offers tailored just for you. That's creditkarma.com/no-dunks, or you can see your offers on the Credit Karma app. Apply with confidence today. Go to creditkarma.com/no-dunks or the Credit Karma app.
Guys, this weekend, I started setting up my home gym here in the garage of the new place.
All right.
Yeah, I'm back, baby. I'm back. Well, I haven't started yet, but, I was setting it up anyways. And the weather was absolutely gorgeous. I had the garage door open the whole time. There was a nice cool breeze swirling around in there. It felt so good. I was just looking around going, it's going to be so great to work out in here. It's like I forgot where I live because now I'm looking down the 7-day Atlanta forecast and it's about to get really hot and really gross in that garage. It's thirsty season, guys. It's upon us.
Yep.
And water, it's just not going to cut it. Get out of here, water.
Get out of here.
Oh, wait, hold on. Come back, water. We'll come back. I need you for the hydrant. That's right, hydrant. It's a refreshing drink mix powder made with 4 key electrolytes: sodium, potassium, magnesium, and zinc. It's made with real fruit juice powder and no artificial sweeteners or synthetic colors. No nonsense, all science. I love that. And I definitely want to try the Hydrant Sleep that I've been hearing all about. It's a new bedtime mix, carefully formulated to promote restful sleep and hydration. Hydrant Sleep includes melatonin, magnesium, L-theanine, chamomile, and of course, GABA to promote restful, high-quality sleep. Plus, it's backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't love it, just send it back for a full refund. And we've got a special deal for our listeners to save 20% off your first order or subscribe and save 30% off your first subscription order. Go to drinkhydrant.com/nodunks or enter our promo code NODUNKS at checkout. That's drinkhydrant.com/nodunks and enter promo code NODUNKS for 20% off your first order. Drinkhydrant.com/nodunks and enter promo code NODUNKS to save 20%. We thank them for sponsoring the program. Hydrant, where water meets wellness.
Finally here, I got a heavy but important question for all of y'all. What interferes with your happiness? Is something preventing you from achieving your goals? All right, Leigh, you ever get bogged down in your thoughts, maybe stressed out a little bit, low self-esteem, maybe depressed, anxious maybe even? Y'all need to try BetterHelp. It will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. This is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. Mental health, baby. This stuff works. You can send a message to your counselor anytime, and you'll get a timely and thoughtful response. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions right from the comfort of your own home. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. It's convenient, professional, discreet, and it's affordable. We want you to start living a happier life today. So as a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/nodunks. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, betterhelp.com/nodunks. All right, we had some heartbreaking news this weekend. We learned that former Utah Jazz center Mark Eaton died at age 64 after an apparent bike crash. Passersby found Eaton in the street Friday night in Utah, Summit County, Utah, according to the statement from the team. Police do not believe a vehicle was involved in the accident. For those that don't know, maybe the young listeners or watchers out there, Eaton spent his entire 12-year career in Utah from 82 to 93. He was an all-star in 89 and a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in the 80s. The Jazz actually retired his number 53 jersey during the 95-96 regular season. 7'4" big man, led the league 4 times in blocks per game, including, Leigh, a single season record of 5.6 blocks per game in 84-85. 5.6 blocks per game. Go check out some Mark Eaton highlights today, guys, especially if you're younger, listening or watching the show. Some of the blocks are unreal. I mean, he's obviously a giant dude. He's not jumping at times. He's just straight up like pinning these guys on the glass. He was incredible. He finished with 3,000 plus blocks, 4th most in NBA history. And he's the NBA's all-time leader in blocks per game with 3.5. But again, obviously sudden and heartbreaking news with what happened there in Utah over the weekend, Leigh.
Yeah, tragic. I mean, no other way to put it. An accident. He was still in fairly good shape for a big guy and a 64-year-old guy just out enjoying his bike ride. And obviously something happened there. And just a devastating moment for Mark Eaton and his family and friends, and also the Utah Jazz organization. For a guy who kind of had a strange entry into the NBA as well, but then Frank Layden, the Jazz coach, saw that he could be effective. And you go back to that 1988 series where the Lakers actually went on to win the championship, first team to go back-to-back in 20 years. But they had to get past the Utah Jazz, and Mark Eaton was a big part of that because his presence inside was really causing problems for the Lakers. So, he was a very good player. Got rewarded with the All-Star game nod there in '89. One team for his whole career, and then off the basketball court, just revered as such a true, honest guy who gave back to the league as well, working with the Players Association. And was around. So just no other way to describe it. Just devastating that his life was ended in such tragic circumstances.
And he definitely influenced Rudy Gobert's career. Rudy Gobert posting about how he worked with Mark Eaton and how close they were, and that's obviously affected the way the Jazz play. And there's a record that hangs in Mark Eaton's name, most blocks in a single season. And I wonder if an NBA player approaches that with the way the game is played today.
I don't think so.
Oh, man.
No way. Put me down on record saying that never gets beaten. You're right. With the way the game's played, I can't imagine it. 5.6 per game.
I wonder how many
insane.
5-block games there even were during the league. During the entirety of the season this year. I mean, are there going to be 80 of them, like an entire season for Mark Eaton? I don't know. But if you were around in the 80s and 90s watching the NBA, Mark Eaton was kind of synonymous with the Jazz right after John Stockton and Karl Malone. He was just the next name you knew because he was one of the early gigantic guys in the NBA. And like you're saying, Skeets, he was using that height to his advantage between him and Manu Bol. There were a couple of just humongous guys that are never going to be forgotten in league history.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace to Mark Eaton. Sending our best, of course, to the entire Jazz franchise. Okay, let's end this with a little tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Yeah, look, we're running long here, so I'll make it quick. I saw this tweet from a small account called @SportsCenter, and I thought it was great. #SCFacts. Andre Iguodala's final streak is over after playing in 6 straight. This year's finals will be the first without Iggy since 2014. Wow. Leigh, that's a crazy fact, man. #SCFacts right there. But it's pretty wild with obviously the Heat getting swept there by the Bucks, and we will not be seeing Iguodala in the final. What a run there.
No, incredible stuff there from Iggy. I wonder if SportsCenter made that one themselves, or if they just nicked it off another account. They've done that a few times. They do that. They do that without crediting.
Center starring Leigh Ellis here.
No, I'm just saying, you're a big account like that. It's fine. If you're going to use someone else's tweet, though, credit them. That's all.
Wait, did they?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not saying if they did for that one. I'm just saying they've done that a few times.
All right.
Well, yeah, if they're big enough, big boys, they've got enough they can handle it. I mean, all you have to do is just show that credit. That's it. But good tweet. Factually accurate. Sure.
Okay, good. There you go. Good. Let's call it there.
All right, let's call it. I was just going to say, going to be an interesting Hall of Fame case in the future. Andre Iguodala. Will this be something that gets brought up? I mean, he made 6 straight finals? That's a lot. It's got to be pretty close to LeBron making it 10 straight times, which, is just going to get more and more impressive as time goes on. When you look back and you say Andre Iguodala made 6 straight finals, it's pretty crazy.
Picked up a finals MVP in there too.
There you go.
Yeah, he will have an interesting case for sure. I mean, because we just had the, it always makes its rounds every once in a while, the Robert Horry case. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Is he a Hall of Fame? Right? Like Iguodala. Like, would you have Iguodala ahead of Robert Horry if you had to pick one or the other to put into the Hall of Fame? I would.
Probably. He's got an All-Star appearance. He's got gold medals with Team USA, but Robert Horry's got 7 titles.
No, I know.
That's that'll be the comparison for sure. It'll be those two guys going head to head. Who gets in first?
Yep.
We're talking SC facts here, so I got to fact check you, Trae. LeBron didn't make it 10 straight times, right? He made 8 break.
Yeah.
Then a Lakers one. But Iggy.
#TAS facts. Did you
I hope you get credited on that.
Yeah. So what? He's got a good record at the final. It's getting better.
Okay, LeBron's made it 10 times. Total,
10 times,
right?
total.
If you include the throwback. There we go.
Yeah,
Sorry, man. I'm just freestyling out here.
That's great. That's great. That's why I'm fact
That's what we're
checking.
doing. This is a holiday Monday here. That's what we're doing. We're
Let the
fact
beat
checking.
drop. Let's talk about some championship appearances.
Wow, at least
Good
Tass
for
didn't
you.
drop a hashtag well actually on you like Schumann would have. I mean, that's just every time you get a hashtag well actually, man, it really just it's a knife right in your back there from Schumann. It really hurts. Anyway, we got to call it there. This is a super long episode. We knew it would be as we tried our best to at least touch on all 8 of the series. Got one of them done. Might be another one wrapping up tonight. Like I said, Sixers trying to close it out, trying to sweep the Wizards. Excited for game 4 between the Jazz and the Grizzlies in Memphis there, which was rocking. You're right. Somebody mentioned it here. That building was going nuts. So they should be in fine form once again tonight. Enjoy those games. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern, live here on YouTube to break them down and talk about the big news in the NBA and set up the rest of the series as we move forward. Thank you so much to the stream team again for joining us here. Go grab your No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. Subscribe to The Athletic. Go to theathletic.com/nodunks so they know we sent you. And yeah, we will see you tomorrow. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, as Jay suggests in the stream team, Dillon Brooks is the least polite Canadian of all time.
Well, yeah, let me think on that. It might be me, actually. I'm a bit of a dick, aren't I?
What about Tom Green? Always messing with his parents. Not very polite.
What about Marty McSorley? Not nice.
Embrace the day, people.